What if I told you that you could make a song with vocals made by 1 billion stream singers on Spotify? It sounds wild, right? Well, that's now possible thanks to Voxelize, so I personally jumped on the opportunity, made a song, and here's a snippet of the final result. Damn, those vocals sounds good. As I was saying, all this is possible thanks to Voxelize, today's sponsor, which is a relatively new royalty-free vocals website. What caught my attention is that they have a quality over quantity approach, which is why they only work with professional and established singers to deliver the best vocals possible. And if we listen to the vocal a cappella I chose, I get this feeling, I wanna be where you are. It sounds really good right off the gate. I'll show you right after, but I pretty much have no plugins on the vocals because it was that good, just ready to go. When downloading them, you obviously get a commercial license, and it comes with both dry and wet stems, along with doubles, lead vocals, ad-libs, harmonies, and most importantly, the MIDI, which comes in really handy for us producers. As I was saying, this is a relatively new vocals website, so if you want very affordable vocals that aren't overused yet, I recommend you to jump on it right now. Additionally, the team at Voxelize was kind enough to get you guys a 20% discount, so if you are looking to get high quality professional vocals, then you can use the code PLV20 with the first link in the description. Alright, so now that we have our vocals, let's get into the production side of things. So as I was saying, it came with the MIDI of the chords, so this is where I got started. The first thing I did is to work on the chord progression, and for this I just used the piano from Addictive Keys, the Imagine Grand preset to be more precise. Now if we look at the chords, they actually came like this, so quite simple. So I just went and tried to improve them a little bit, so I added more notes, and I added a little bit of a different rhythm too. Worked on the velocity as well of the notes so that it wouldn't be so robotic and more humans. And that's pretty much what I did for the chords, so it sounds like this. So I mostly changed it for the breakdown. For the pre-chorus and chorus, it's almost the same as what it was, except just a little different rhythm over here, but that's it. So then I kept this one because I really liked how dark it was. This is how I named it, Dark Piano, but I also wanted something more soft, so for this I used Lab's Soft Piano, and I just added it on top of it. So if we listen with the a cappella, that's how it sounds like. Do you dream alone under the moon? And then you'll see that surprisingly I have only an EQ on both of the pianos, but that's pretty much it. Then it's just on the chords bus that I have another EQ to remove some of the muddiness, boxiness of the piano, but I thought it sounded good and I didn't feel like it needed any more. So yeah, it's a pretty basic chain, really, almost no mixing on that one. So once I had the chords, you know me, it's not a PLV song without a lot of ambiances, so that's what I did next. I worked on the ambiances. For me, it's a very important part to know where I want the song to go. Emotion-wise, I need to set the song into an atmosphere and ambience to then give me ideas on how this song is gonna be. So the first one that I put is this one here, just a regular tonal ambience from a pack from Ghost Hack. Then there's this one as well, which is a little bit lower, which I think I got from Splice. And then I like to add some natural sound, so I added some thunder, because I wanted it to be like darker and very moody, very emotional, like this. And the last natural sound is some wind. That's it. And then in the very intro, I added my little eagle sound, which I'm putting literally at all my intros and outros, just to sound like a PLV song, you know? Do you dream alone? Very moody, very PLV-like. For the ambiances as well, in terms of mixing, I just put some of them, like a couple, I panned a little bit. And otherwise I just removed the low end on the ambiances as well, just so that there's not so much rumbles, not too much, because I needed the thunder to still be hearable. And then there's just a side chain which is for the drop after, not for the breakdown. but that's it. So after that, I wanted to add some low end, but I wanted to add something more organic so that it would be more emotional. So I actually added first a cello. For this, I just used the Studio Strings stock plugin from Logic. I just went with a cello, sustain mode, put like 10% of attack, so like it just rises a little bit, cut down a little bit some volume, more release, and that was it. And in terms of the mixing, I pretty much did nothing, so yeah, really simple. When I'm with you, is the afterglow strong enough? Now I did want to have something deeper than just a cello, so I did add a Reese bass for having more of a sub. And for this I just used a preset on Serum from Emeche. So it's the Emeche Bass 06. Very simple, just have a little bit of movement, a little bit of texture from that preset, but that's it. And in terms of mixing, I just cut the higher frequencies, mid frequencies, because I wanted to stay in the sub area. And then this is where I decided to add some ear candy for the breakdown, just because otherwise it was a bit too empty. And for this, in between the sentences, I actually added some vocal shots. So it sounds like this. So I just added some delay a little bit to be more spatial, cut the lower end as well, and just put it in the middle of the sentences, which sounds like this. Under the moon. And I got this one from Splice, as always. Now another little ear candy that I really like using in my songs is this little blade accent, like metallic blade sound. I really like it for transitions, so it sounds like this. And then, I don't know, I could hear like a church bell thing because it was quite deep in the low notes and very moody, very dark, so I just found one on Splice as well, and this one. So I put it like very low in the volume, but at the beginning, at the entrance of the breakdown, you can hear it. Which I thought was a good addition as well. So yeah, those are the 3 ear candies that I added in the breakdown. And then the last thing I did for the breakdown is to add some pads, because just the piano was a bit thin. So I wanted to have more of like an underlying texture. So I added this pad from Serum as well. So the preset is from a Ghost Hack pack, the Melodic House one, called Pad Dreams. And here I just did some EQing as well to remove the low end, remove some muddiness, because it was quite muddy. And when you're going with like moody songs, that's the one thing you really got to be careful of, is like the muddiness in your song. So I really tried to control this. And yeah, that was pretty much it for the breakdown. I just added some effects, you know, like a crash transition, a little downlifter, and a little impact, and that was it. Do you dream alone under the moon? Is it brighter, brighter when I'm with you? Is the afterglow strong enough to light this fire, fire back in us? Ooh. So for the pre-chorus, I just wanted to add a bit more strings. So once again, I used the studio strings from, you know, Logic, and I really like the singer-songwriter section. So I picked this one, also a slower attack, longer release, so that it's really like, you know, slower. Now in terms of mixing, I just put an EQ to remove some low end, and then I use this Air Music plugin, which basically puts your strings like further away in the stereo field, and you just have this distance knob, so depending on if you push it more, it's gonna sound very far, and here back in front. So I find like it's a great plugin to have like a very real result. And that was it for the string. Now after that, I just decided to start introducing some drums. For this, I wanted to go with a very heavy future bass inspiration. So for this, I just grabbed a few Foley drum loops on Splice. And so all I did is just to filter them with an EQ and adding some reverb as well, so they would be further away in the mix. Once again, very simple. And then I just added a nice little snap, very drowned in reverb, so that it would feel very far away as well. And I panned it a little bit on the right, just for some stereo. It's like a snap, drop, water style, which I thought was matching very well. And then here I added a little bit of a transition that is different for going from the breakdown to the pre-chorus. You know me, like very emotional, dreamy and all, and I felt like it was good for like some magical stuff, so I just put like a little magic swipe here. And I added also a little wind chimes for the transition, and that was it. Alright, and now let's move on to the chorus, which is kind of like the build-up, really. And for this, I wanted to go somewhere different than what you would potentially expect. And so for this, the first thing I added is this little arp, because I wanted to go towards like more of a melodic house, deep house style of drop. Yeah, I just added this arp in the background over here. And this is actually a Serum preset. One day I'll buy a very good computer with like 64 gigabytes of RAM. Here it's a preset that I found on a Martin Garrix pack. I really don't remember where I got it. It was a free one. And it's a preset called Pad Moving. And it has a nice little LFO that gives this little movement. And in terms of mixing, I added an EQ to remove the lower frequencies as always. And then I wanted to play more in the stereo field with this one, so I added Pancake to go from the right to the left. Once again, I just wanted to add some movement to not be too repetitive. And in an effort to add even more movement, I animated the high cut as well, like the filter basically, just so that you would have more movement. Like sometimes, like it starts, it's not very hearable, and then in the middle of a sentence, it's going to be more hearable, and then it disappears again, and then it reappears during the build-up. And then with wider, I just put it a little bit more on the sides, not so much in the center. And this is where I needed to come up with an actual melody so that I could start introducing the melody in the build-up. And for this, I got very inspired by this guitar loop that I found on a Splice pack. I thought it was amazing, so I just used that one. And I doubled it with one lead preset that I'm gonna talk about after for the drop, which is some bells. But before I talk about it, obviously if we're having a build-up, we need some drums to raise the tension. So I first started with a little soft kick. And then I added a little soft hat on top of it. It just gives it like this more soft tone to it in the song, which I really like to do. I do this pretty much on all my songs, to be honest. And then I came up with a little drum roll as well. And I also started to introduce some hi-hats from the drop. And obviously we need a lot of effects and uplifters and sweeps. So this is the riser. So yeah, and then the last thing I did for the build-up as well is to add a little bit of some of the pads and chords from the chorus, from the drop, just to start building up the frequency spectrum a little bit. So it was just these two. And as you can hear, there's a sidechain as well to go with the kick that I'm introducing. And that was pretty much our little build-up. Yeah, important note as well, there's the doubles that are coming in as well, which, you know, I got from the pack on Voxelized. So I didn't have to do anything to them. I just panned one to the left, one to the right, and that was it. Arc, then disappears again, then it's gonna come back, and then I start introducing some more stuff, including the melody, which is obviously filtered, you know. The melody here is filtered here, and also here on the lead. And as you can see here, it's a little trick. When you do the filter lead melody trick in the build-up, a lot of the time you'll see people open fully in the build-up. That's something I don't do. I just don't open fully the leads, just so that then when the drop hits, it opens completely over here and it feels more different. So yeah, that's a little trick that I like to have. And one last thing to mention as well is during the build-up, the Reese bass that I have a volume automation which slowly removes it. The idea is to make the bass disappear slowly so that when I reintroduce it in the drop feels bigger because there's all this low end that reappears. So let's talk about the drop now. And I think the first thing I did is to find some chords which somehow ended up only being like these 2 notes per chords. Don't ask me why, it's just what sounded good. You know, just follow your ears sometimes. You know, I don't have like full chords or whatever. It's just what felt good here. That's it. As you can hear, I added a little sidechain for the drop, just a little short sidechain to the same size of the kick, which I will show you right after. And then I added, you know, those 2 chords as well from the build-up, which I can show you the presets. They're all from Serum again. Serum is really my go-to when it comes to presets for sounds, really. I just love it. So this first preset from the chord is from the new Make Pop Music Lush pack. In the keys one, it's the brass knuckles, and you'll see why I wanted this one. But basically, this is how it sounds like. I really like the texture that it has in it. It almost sounds like synthwave. And then the second chords preset is from the Ghost Hack Melodic House pack, Synth Galaxy. It sounds like this. And here I really like the attack of it, which kind of sounds like a brass shot. And this is actually the next thing that I added. It's some brass shots. So it's just a sound that I got on Splice, and I just played with the transpose here to match the C, E, D notes that I needed in the chords. And that's it. And then I just use a little bit of a DST, like distortion plugin, to add some more low end so that it had more body and it felt bigger. And I put a bit of reverb with Valhalla Supermassive, and then with wider I just put it a bit more on the sides, not in the center. And together this is how they sound like. I really wanted something big, you know, and you'll see how it sounds in with everything. So then once I had this, which I had the little melody and the ARP going from the build-up as well. I needed some drums, so I added a powerful kick. I did some more body over here and reduced the top end so that there was less clicky sound. And then I introduced another one for more groove. And then I add some more claps as well. And this one. Then some hi-hats and some shaker top loops. And a little snare. Pretty cool. I also added the strings back just for some more mid frequencies. And then it was time to work on the lead melody. So I did have my lead melody already. What I did is I just tried to recreate with the MIDI the guitar loop that I was hearing from Splice. So it gave me this little MIDI file. Now I did all this on my piano, just with my ear, trying to find the right notes to recreate the melody from Splice. Really, it took me like 10-15 minutes maybe, but yeah, that's just how I did it. And then I had to choose some presets, and really I was hearing like bells, music boxes, like very dreamy. Like I didn't want like a huge drop or anything, like, you know, with huge leads. I really wanted something more emotional, more chill. So this is why I went with those type of sound design. I have 6 going on right now. The first one is this one in the middle here, BL Secret Sign, which is from the new Lush pack from Make Pop Music in the bells. Sounds so good. Then I wanted to still keep my guitar loop original, you know, from Splice, so I tried to double it with another preset, which I think is from Martin Garrix, this one. Yeah, Martin Garrix pluck guitar number 1, so it sounds like this. Then I wanted another pluck as well for more attack and transient, so it's this one, Pluck Sunny, which is coming from the Producer School Future Bass pack. And then I wanted to have a little bit of lower frequencies, not completely low, just more mid. So I doubled my MIDI, but like to the octave down. And I used this preset, BL, so Bells Sweet Dreams, which is also from the Lush Make Pop Music pack, which sounds like this. And then the last one that I add is a little vocal pitched voice preset that I found as well in the Martin Garrix pack, Vox Happy, which sounds like this. And I only use it in the second part of the drop just to add some more presets and add something new to the melody so that it doesn't repeat so much. And then the last little trick that I found by accident is at some point I duplicated this main bell preset and I tried to come up with another melody because I was like, it sounds a little bit repetitive, let's see if I can try to find another melody. So I came up with this. First one is the same, but then here it changes, the second phrase. And then something by accident happened is like, when my boyfriend came in and I was just showing him my song, when I was showing him the melodies, I actually left it on by accident, and whereas it was not supposed to, right? Because it's not the same melody. But turns out it sounded great because it sounded kind of like an added counter melody, and so I left it in. And yeah, I thought it was adding some really nice ear candy, some, you know, counter melody. So yeah, I just kept it, and it was just an accident. So yeah, happy accident. So now that we had our drums, chords, and leads, I needed some bass. And for the bass, I went with these two here. And as you can hear, this one here has quite of a good attack that sounds almost like a brass. Which I thought was perfect to go with my brass shots and my chords, so I kept that in. And then I added this one, which is more in the lower end. So yeah, I thought they were complementing each other quite well. And then, you know, following the same MIDI, I just added a regular sub bass, you know, just a basic sub preset. Like, that's it. Nothing really complex. Obviously a sidechain as well to go with the kick. Pretty regular, pretty standard, nothing crazy. And then I just finished with adding some effects and fills for the middle of the drop. So I just went on Splice and found a couple that I liked. So there was this first one, this one too, a third one here, and a fourth one. And in the drop, it sounds like this. Now obviously we're missing a bit of a transition, so I just, you know, took the same almost from the breakdown or a few different as well. So some clean down lifters here. I also had a little downlifter laser because I thought it was matching the vibe of the song. And then this last one as well for the beginning of the drop, which is like more of a downlifter fantasy style, which, you know, wind chimes, which is what I had before, and a little uplifter around here. Once again, nothing crazy. And then the last thing that I did is added this little riser that I did from Vital. Just one note with like an LFO on Vital, and that's it. So before I show you the final result, remember that you can have 20% discount on any of the vocals on Voxelize with code PLV20 and the first link in the description. But in the meantime, keep learning, and I will see you in the next one.
When I'm with you, is the act of glow strong.